next series of documents are all about formatting the document. First of all, I'm in Britain. In Britain, unlike in America, we don't use what's called letter size. We use what's called A4 size. That's the size of the page. It's slightly different to American letter size, not by much. But I can say I've got a printer which is American, which uses American size paper. So I can tell the computer what size paper I want to use. And we do that by going to Layout. So this tells the computer the layout of the document. So first of all, we've got margins. The margins are this white area that you can see just here from there to there, so 1.5 inches, about 3.5 centimetres, and on the other side. And if I scroll up, got a little bit at the top and a lot at the bottom. So if I click on margins, I can change that so that they are normal margins. So a lot at the top, and a lot at the bottom, and we're now up to 2.5 inch on either side. Which I think these might be centimetres, not inches. Or can have very thin margins, which allows more to be on the page, but if you're using a hole punch, you might be hole punching through words. And you can see some other types: moderate, wide, mirrored, which is good for 2 pages, so that the left page is one size and the right page is another size. And then you get to what it was in Microsoft Office 13 years ago, but that's hardly ever used. Most of the time, you probably stick with normal. Now we can also tell it that I want it to be portrait, which is the normal way of looking at things, or landscape. And landscape, if I just zoom out, means you turn it on its side, as opposed to portrait, which looks that way. This is a size, so I'm using the letter size of America, but I could use the British A4 size, slightly different, or I could use the legal size, which is a lot longer, or executive, or there's lots of paper sizes that you might be using. Now, something that you will see quite a lot of, we're currently in the layout page setup section. Now, if you follow the word page setup and go to the right, you'll see that there is what I call a drop down. And if I click on that, it's a little arrow, and we can see it in other places. Here's one under font, here's one under paragraph. So go back to layout. If I click on that, I will get a dialog box. And here's the dialog box. And this is where I can adjust top, bottom, left, right margins, portrait, landscape. It gives me lots of options that are already here, but more. For example, I can say what tray certain pages should be fed from. So if you can't find what you're looking for, try clicking on this little button and it will get you a dialog box. So that is how you modify the page setup. You go to the Layout tab. Right, in this fourth section we'll be looking at customizing options and views for documents. We'll be looking at the document views using Zoom, the quick access toolbar and the ribbon. We'll be splitting the window, adding values to the document properties, using show and hide, simple macros, assigning shortcut keys, and managing a bit of macro security. So let's start by changing document views. If I go to the View tab, you can see in the left hand side that there are 5 views. Web layout is not used often. I mean, it's great if you've got wide tables, it's great if you're designing web blogs and that sort of thing. Apart from that, I can't really think of many other uses for it. Print layout is generally the one that I use the most. It shows what it looks like on the screen. So if I zoom out, you can see that we have individual pages. And that for me is perfect. I can't really think of any other way that I would want to view it. Draft I use sometimes. And that's when I really don't want to see all of the page stuff. I just want to type. Now you can still see where the page ends with this dotted line. But I use it less and less nowadays. I generally still use the page layout. And if I want to avoid seeing all of the changes of pages, what I can do is I can take my mouse and notice if I put it in the grey bit, I can double click to hide the white space. So you see that there's white space there and white space there. If I double click right there, it collapses the page inward. This has no effect on how it's going to print, but it has a direct effect on how it looks, at least to me. So you can see E and F follow each other, whereas if I double click on the grey space to show the white space, there we can see the footer and the header. So it hides the footer and the header essentially. You can see there is a footer, end of page, and a header in between E and F. So it entirely depends what sort of view you want to use. Read mode. Well, you can see it's more of a full screen mode with left and right. Don't think I really use it much because, yes, it's called read mode. I want to actually edit it. And you can see this, I can't edit it because the document is open for viewing only. You know, I really want to view, not just view it, but I actually want to be able to edit it. It's a word editor. So how do I get out of this? Well, I can edit document, or down here we have the read mode, the print layout, and the web layout. So it's exactly the same as clicking on these icons at the top. So if you want to switch from those two very quickly, that's how you can do it. Outline is a very specialized view. So specialized that Microsoft say you don't actually need it for the basic course. Let's just have a quick look. So click on outline and we see all of these dots, but what we equally see is that where we got a heading 1, it's indented. And what I can do is I can collapse the text that's underneath it. So if I wanted just to view all of the heading 1s, I could just say I want all of the level 1s, and there they are. How often you need it? Not that often, but one great thing about this is that I can move heading 1s about, and that will move the text that's underneath it. So you can see I can drag that down and all of the text comes with it. But it's more advanced. I wouldn't be using it as a very first thing. So generally, there are lots of views you can use. I stick for the most with the print layout. See how the document will look if it's printed. That's more or less what I want.